just keeps on coming. Welcome to the Breakfast Lounge, your daily talk show on 102.7 FM, featuring special guests with your host, Lady Grace. Now let's get started.
Two of the Breakfast Lounge. Today we counting down, boy. I tell you, we got 5 days till elections, of course. And today is Wednesday. So yesterday when I was looking at the weather, I said, oh my gosh, I wonder if we're gonna get a lot of rain tomorrow that we can't do the Wednesday. I said, because I remember the last election, it was that the power went out, and I said, if it rains tomorrow and he cannot come in for this interview, boy, oh boy. But you know what? Guess what? What did I tell
God
you?
works in mysterious ways.
There you go. My guest, of course, in the Breakfast Lounge this morning, and good morning to your viewers also, is none other than the number 2 candidate on the now party slate. That's Mr. Claudius Toncha Camper. And hi, good morning. How did you feel yesterday?
Morning, Grace, to my listeners and followers. Good morning. How did I fare yesterday? I sat on my back porch. I knew where the weather was, give and take, so I know how the wind was going to play with us a little bit. A lot of trees took a little beating, I think.
Little beating?
Well,
major beating.
Look, at 50 miles, 60 miles, I think our gust was 52 or 58, something like that. Look, the bottom line is this, Grace. This was an Irma. But I'll tell you something. The minute that first wind said woof, people went into a trance. People that went through Irma, it's a mental something, it clicks, and then you look around and you see the family, how your people move in, how your kids, how the grandkids, they were small, how the wife, how the daughter, But there are a lot of people that didn't fare as well as we did. I didn't lose no roofs, some trees broke, a little this, a little that, but not in particular. But some people did lose some stuff. Down at Belvedere, after back checking also with the people from housing and so, it is clear that the seniors didn't suffer damage. It was a coating that was put on last year. It's basically foam with asphalt layer over it to keep the roofs a little cooler. And that blew off. It wasn't mounted most probably correctly because it shouldn't blow off with such a wind. A major hurricane, I understand, but not 50 miles. No, not 50 miles an hour.
Yeah.
A lot of people have been calling me asking for assistance. Trees fell in their driveways. They can't get out of their house. Naturally, the fire department is overloaded doing that sort of cleanup. So maybe the government can get a few crews, get a few contractors that they can send out to help people. I know Miss Maynard up in, I think it's Beat Road up in South Reward just called me. She can't get out up there by George Pantaflet and them. They can't get out. Big trees fell there in the driveway. Maybe they can just cut it, move it so people can get in and out of their homes.
Who's actually in charge of that?
Normally the fire department does that.
Okay,
Normally the fire department does it. They have the chainsaws, they have the manpower.
Okay.
Public Works, under my days during hurricane, we would be out there, but we would have contractors with us too, so we had manpower. And that's the most important thing right now, manpower. I just walked up Back Street. Normally by now, you should have had people on Back Street and Front Street sweeping. Alleys should have been swept. If a cruise ship is docking, you want town to be clean. You focus on Phillipsburg and then get out and go. And no pun intended to the ministry. I think they did a great job yesterday. They kept the water low, and they made sure the trenches were operational so water could get out, etc., etc. But we gotta be honest. It was a test. It was a dry run. If we are ready, I don't know if we grasp what a storm means. I think when you see pictures, for example, of the airport tents blowing away, you ask yourself, but why is that? Why would you not put away the tents? I mean, you're talking 50, 60 miles an hour winds. You're closing the airport, yet you're not protecting things that can blow very easily. Same goes for the marketplace. We knew winds were coming. Take off the tarpaulins. Take off those covers because while the frames might have shake a little bit, they wouldn't have gotten damaged the way they got damaged now.
Oh
But
yeah.
again,
The whole thing collapsed.
again, I think it is, you know, we have this thing with storms that they are unpredictable. And sometimes you got to be careful because it can speed up fast. First we thought it was going north, then it turned out to go south. And because it went south, naturally the seas went a little rough on us. And you got to be careful. Our boat was unfortunately pushed on
Two
shore.
vessels actually.
And yeah, they're going to have to just pull them off as fast as possible. Don't leave them in bed in the sand. But I saw the sea rescue take the people off the boats yesterday. And again, you know, we know weather coming. You are warned with 14-foot waves. Well, put a boat outside.
Yeah.
Don't bring it into a harbor where you know there's a sandbank and you can get yourself in trouble.
That stuff
So,
there.
you know, again, there are a lot of things that could have been done different, but again,
Did you
I
think
think
the
this-
Prime Minister made the right call to close businesses early?
yes, yes, I do. I really do because I believe, you see, when you're not in the business of hurricane management, EOC business and so, you criticize. You hear people, oh, the French side open and we closed. You know what? We are two different countries, bro.
Thank you.
One full of social services, give them everything for free, and the others here, nobody gets nothing. So we got to understand, you got to leave your people get ready and protect themselves. We got to stop this whining business when it comes to hurricane. If you're an accountant, do accounting. If you're a politician, do politics. Me, I'm fortunate. For 25 years, I worked Lewis, I worked Irma. Not many people can say that in St. Martin. To understand what it means to be out there and do what others ain't doing. Because all they're doing is picking up the phone and whining. This is, I got a light, I got a tree, I got a this. That's what they do. It's a handful of people go out there. So yes, the Prime Minister in EOC made the right call. He was advised, and thankfully he took the advice this time. He listened to the people in EOC. It's not a common denominator for him because he doesn't like to listen to his coalition. That's why he gets himself always in problems. No, I heard the previous guest say it. Oh, no, it's a different style of governing. Nonsense. Dictatorial governing is not governing. When you don't listen to your coalition, you're going to fend on the wrong side of governing. And that was the problem. But I want to thank him for listening to the EOC and following what they told him. Because principally, it's the chief of police that has a big influence. Because remember, safety on the road, safety of the population. When things happen, it is the fire department, it's the police, the Romy have to rush out, go help clear roads, and you don't want to put people's lives in danger.
Exactly.
Because somebody want to go driving around Marcoing to see which roof blow off, which boat on
right?
this is the problem.
And we didn't have a curfew either, but
Thank
it was
God.
still advisable for people to
Stay
stay
off.
on the road.
And
Stay
yet
on
they
the
were
road.
there. Yet they were all over the place. You know, and
Looking
me,
for what?
I stayed on my back porch. I don't do public works anymore, so I make a call naturally. It's still in me, you know, how you going, how is this, how is
I
that?
opened my windows.
Yes,
yesterday.
I know
That
the breeze was nice on the
though.
back porch.
Yeah.
It kept the house cool. And I spoke to Mr. Washington. I said, Mr. Washington, I have been a critic.
Oh, yes,
And-
talk about that.
When I asked him, are the generators on? He says, yes, they're on, but they're not even up to full power. They had surplus yesterday. Why? All the businesses were closed. The place was cool, so they didn't need all the power that GB itself was producing.
Good observation.
So,
I
you
didn't
know,
think of that.
Today, that might be a little different. Let's pray that it is not. The place is still nice and okay.
Cool, right.
Schools are still closed, so that's a little movement of electricity. Some of the businesses are still on their generators. So if we can hold it, you know, within balance, I think we'll be okay. Like the people in GB said, if you don't need to run the air conditioner, don't run it. If you don't need to put on lights, don't put them on.
Yesterday wasn't
Every,
needed at
every
all.
little wattage counts right now to keep everybody lit up. You know,
Agreed.
so
Agreed.
let's hope all
Right.
goes well.
And the removal of all
Yeah.
the campaign paraphernalia.
I think that was a
down.
great
It
call.
was met with some criticism in it.
Listen,
when he
we
made the announcement.
always have people that see negative in the positive. There were billboards up here. This is one of the things that I have criticized my own minister for. And I called him and said, Minister, when you give that MB, telling people to go put up billboards, please set it in a size 8x4, 8x8 maximum. You're in the hurricane season. He said, boy, don't you, I already signed it off. It gone already. I said, okay, no problem. Yeah, because these are standard things you prepare. But we don't really have elections during hurricane season. So, you know, you have to be a little, hey, it was new. It happened already. Thank God. We get a storm, everybody take it down. I don't think everybody gonna put back up because you see some places they were cleaning up their boards already.
Right.
So hey, I think other parties, some of them gonna put back up. Some of them just rip down everything, mash up all the lumber just to put them flat on the ground instead of just, you know, having some people out there knock away everything, take it up, put it away. Like with me, I took off all my boards, I left my frames. My frames were anchored 2 feet in the ground.
Wow.
So I know they wasn't going no place.
Okay.
No, I had somebody put them up for me properly, professionally, so that when I take down, nothing fall on nobody cat, nothing don't do nothing to nobody. In the course of today or tomorrow, I'll put back up my boards for the election.
Okay.
But you know, I'm waiting for the all clear. I respect EOC. EOC has to give an all clear. The Prime Minister already said things are back to normal, so we got an all clear.
Schools reopening
Tomorrow. They're just going to do a check and see if there wasn't too much of water run through schools, dirty up schools, disinfect them, and get them ready to go.
Okay, so the bounce effect, because you got just a few more days. How's it been going so far? I every time I go on social media, there's some other radio station, so you're really making.
No, I have really put in serious time this election. People wanted to see me. I have been meeting with not one or two, but with groups nearly now at different homes. And so not in a community center or by a bar with food and drinks. No, I go to the homes, 5, 6, 7 people, and you talk to them. And they ask you critical questions from Chibi to public works, to the hospital, to the airport, to education, to justice. And what you do is you break it down for them what your manifesto says. But the most important question that always comes is how are you going to pay for it? How do you pay for this bank camper? So today, that's what I want to talk. I spoke a lot about the bank camper effect. And I'll give you a little synopsis of it, but I want to talk about how I'm going to pay for it. Because if I can't pay for it, it makes no sense. Then it's all pie in the sky. I'm going to build this, I'm going to build that, we're going to do that. How are you paying for it? Because nobody want to talk about that piece. Because that's the ticklish piece. Telling people I'm going to build 100 homes is nice. So how are you going to do it? We're going to get back to that. We're going to get back to that one, you know? Yeah. Now, look, Grace. We are 4 days, 5 days away. So everybody's going to be campaigning in a time when, you know, things are rough. Because people want to know, how you put money in my pocket? Or how you going to make that dollar in my pocket stretch? No, that's where I want to go. Because if you want that change, more money in your pocket, or money in your pocket stretching, you got to vote for the bank camper effect. You, August 19th, vote at all costs. But if that's a given right you should not throw away. Don't take it lightly. Don't take no money for your vote. Because if you take money for your vote, then you have nothing to say. You are paid for a service. You know, it's like I go to McDonald's to buy a hamburger, they give me the hamburger. I can't tell them, well, I fine you. No. I bought the hamburger. You have nothing to fine. I was selling you a hamburger. I wasn't selling you how the place paint and how the roof look. No, that's not your call.
Right.
You came in here freely. You bought the hamburger.
You get what you paid for.
Exactly. Like how Sugar Aloes will say, you get a government you deserve.
Hey.
You get a government. When you pay people to win, it says something about your character. I know about the business. I've seen it close hand. You know, I prefer to say thanks, but no thanks, and then move on. My campaign has been low-keyed in the sense of food and drinks by bars. I didn't participate in that. I had my kids help me with all my digital artwork that you see on Facebook and social media. That is all done in-house. I recycled pamphlets I had from August. It says January. I tell them, well, it's going to be for August now. Because the story in the pamphlet didn't change. Just the date of the election changed.
Right.
Nothing else changed because nothing really happened over the government. The government got in May. So, you know, not much changed. I used what I had. But Grace, I believe with my knowledge, I can stand by it. My knowledge, my ability, and my expertise in government. I know the law. I know what the job is in Parliament. I don't agree that we are only co-legislators and we can't say we're going to build homes. Yes, you can. The one thing that Parliament holds over government is budget approval. So if I go approve that budget, I want to ensure that the people's needs are reflected in that budget, and not this nonsense we just did in March, where we went run approve a budget that today we are cutting 30 million guilders. Ask all of them that approved it how that feels now. Because here comes a new government, a bunch of them went in there and approved it. Oh yeah, we're going to do it. Because remember, the sitting opposition couldn't. They had 7. They needed more. I think 10 or 12 approved it. Knowing the budget didn't go good. 30 million is being cut right now from justice, education, and the others. And you ask yourself,
wonder why.
And you ask yourself, but why? You all just approve it. Because you approve nonsense. Because the CFT now telling us a wishy-washy budget. But the same CFT is a set of hypocrites. Because they are the ones that put the deadline of March 31st, knowing the situation with the budget. But they needed INYA passed. They needed INYA signed off. They needed all kind of favors with the central bank. Because the proposal from the central bank, people got to wake up and look at the holistic picture, not just what a politician is saying. Look at it across the board, and then understand how dangerous the games that are being played are. Because we are destroying this country's future. Not for me, I'm 61, but for my grandchildren and my grandchildren's children. For those, you're destroying it completely. And if that is the onlyest legacy I can leave in politics, is we're going to block that, then so be it, Grace, then that's what I will do. I don't need to write 100 laws. Because the country got laws. You might want to tweak here and there. But wouldn't there be legislating? Listen, I am not a law writer. That's a very specific function. So we're going to pay people to write laws. What we're going to do is you tell them why you want to change the law or why you want a new law and what it should achieve, so that the writers of the law, those people, will do it. The people sitting in parliament, all of them go to law firms where they got law writers and ask them to do it. It's a very tedious job. It's a very specific job. It's not any lawyer going to sit down and write laws, you know. Yes, you know the law. You know how to interpret it, but you don't know how to write it. It's a different job. So we shouldn't come out and say all these things.
So it's not writing a law.
No.
It has to reflect to what
The
basically
law
is in Parliament.
The law has to be in line with all other laws, all treaties, kingdom decrees.
Well,
so
that's what
it's a very tedious something. Think something you pick it up and in 2 months you do it. No, it's not true. For a law, from start to finish, it's about 7 years, 2 terms. All right? So it takes about 2 terms. Only people talk what they know.
Okay.
Been around government long enough to see how it works. 25 years is experience. I didn't used to just sit and collect a salary. I used to go work every day. You check my record in Parliament. I had the best record when I was in Parliament. Nobody even came close to me. Attendance and participation. Right. I was always there. I did my work. I didn't sit outside because I was opposition, so I boycotted. I am paid to work. You feel you should boycott? Shame on you. Are you taking the people money and you're going to sit down in the hallway giggling, hee, boy, we got him. No, you got nobody. You're hurting the people. I like what your previous guest said. When you go in there are no party colors. It's 15 of us. All 15 have to govern. It's not us against them. It's not government against opposition. We are all in there to govern. I was in opposition and I governed this country. I made the former government do certain things because I would put them on the track so they can see what we are talking about. And once they understand that, then they will go with you. You have to make them feel that it's partly their solution also. And then they go with you. That's governing.
Teamwork.
That's leading. That's leadership. You got to bring value. You got to really bring value to what you do. Look, we need to get a job done and get it done right this time around. This is not a time to go into government to go learn what government is about. This is not that occasion. Maybe we'll create another occasion for that. But what we have to really do, Grace, is we have to look for projects that give us value for money. Now, what do I mean with that? Let me give you a few ideas.
Go ahead.
I have spoken of solar buses. We're going to buy solar buses, and those solar buses will give an X amount of people jobs. Jobs that pay well. There's nothing wrong with paying somebody $2,700 to be a bus driver, you know. There's nothing wrong with making sure they have a pension. There's nothing wrong making sure they have health insurance. There's nothing wrong making sure they have a vacation and a fixed schedule so they have a social life with their family. There's nothing wrong with doing that instead of the bus jungle we in right now, where fellas hustling 16 to 18 hours because the market is oversaturated. Yet
right.
we don't drive to Point Blanche, to Middle Region,
Soccer
to Soccer
Garden.
Garden, to Defiance. We don't drive none of those places. Why? Because they're not lucrative. You don't see no buses driving through Saunders or driving through Ebenezer. There are no routes there whatsoever. And I'm saying maybe we need to adjust that. Bringing in solar buses, putting bus drivers that we are on the bus right now to work for you in a company where they will get a share, be it 1%, be it whatever, 0.5%, whatever it is, they will have a share. But what they have is a future. Now, I hear people come, all we do is we teach people to work for others. In some functions, that's what it is. Because a politician works for the people. You ain't a damn entrepreneur. Stop lying and talking stupidity. And you know who I talking to. He was here yesterday ranting and raving about sole proprietorship, blah, 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 blah. Nonsense. Not everything can go down that way. In the past, St. Martin said we're going to protect the bus licenses and the taxi licenses for, the people who are going on pension, they got a little something they could still do. That was so-called for Dutch nationals. Well, that ship sailed. That ship has sailed. So then let's restructure it and do it where we get value for money now. Let's talk to the car dealerships and tell them, listen, can you set up that we can get 50 buses, 100 buses, whatever it needs, but also a fleet of cars. Government should also start going into solar vans, solar trucks, solar cars, and slowly. This is not an overnight solution. This is a solution that will take a whole term. You turn over your fleet.
But then what happens to the current bus drivers now?
Those are the ones that are going to drive the buses you buy in.
Okay,
So
so what happened to the buses? They will
we
park
will-
them up.
We will compensate them for it and sell them off island.
Oh.
How much cars don't we come through Samantha as a hub and go elsewhere?
Yeah.
Second-hand cars will go to. We will sell them at a fraction of the price just to get rid of them. When you are going to do value for money, you're going to have to make an investment and make shifts. It is part of transforming your country to a carbon-free footprint.
So where would these terminals be then?
They can be any place. You can have one in Carrefour's parking lots, for giving you an example. You can have one by the movies. You can have them different places. All you need is a good roof size so they can charge the batteries. The people come there, they swipe. They have a swipe. They swipe, and just like how you go and you pay with a Bankomatico by the gas station, you swipe with this.
Like when you go on the tram.
Precis.
Yeah.
Precis. But cars can do it. Buses can do it. Taxis can do it. It's
That's
a
in the tram.
it,
Yeah,
it, it's
but
a
that's
transition
what I'm
that we have to make in the public transportation, even in the taxi world, and even the local cars, private cars. If you start doing that, your dependency on fuel also lowers. The sun comes up after a hurricane, The boat don't come up with fuel because the sea is too rough. So think on it from the positive. Always, no, yeah, but this and because you will have a lot of naysayers. Because, like they said, most probably they're involved in the fuel business.
But I like you mentioned that because the good thing about regulated transportation is you can park up your car, that at 9 o'clock the bus coming there. I always like that
Look,
system.
in Curacao and Aruba, it works. It works. Yeah, it works there. I'm just saying we took a different route as country where buses and taxis were for people to make an income. Government in the past never had equipment because the policy was let the contractors make money working for government instead of government owning their own backhoes and dump truck. Today, government own their own stuff, right?
How many buses do we have out there right now?
I think 400. I think it's 400, 400. I think.
Too many. Do we need that many?
I don't think so. Because you also have buses from the front side coming over. So I think the market is saturated, but to make it cheaper, because remember the maintenance on a bus that is solar versus the maintenance on a bus that is fuel driven are totally different. So you're going to get pushback, you're going to get pushback from the path places too, because for them business going down. But maybe it's time to transform. Look, GB, thank God we're on today. But GB needs a transition period of 3 to 4 years to really get everything they have back up to service. Do we want to invest in solar panels, be it through GB or besides GB, on the roofs of schools, on the roofs of businesses, on the roofs of homes, where maybe 10, 15 megawatt, you can lower the demand on GB with fuel. Grace, you have to look at this. GB pays $5 million every month right now for fuel. $5 million.
Monthly.
A month.
That's
So,
a lot of money.
that is $60 million a year. If you can take off 20 million, a third. So 57, you go down to 18, 19 megawatt. If we could get 19 megawatt in alternative energy, that's a savings of $20 million a year.
How do we do that?
By investing. By investing. What you have to do is you have to make an agreement. Let us look to our partners in the Caribbean. Maybe Aruba, maybe Curacao, maybe the Netherlands.
What about Trinidad?
Again, I keep the money in the kingdom first
Okay,
if
before
I
you-
am
you step up.
compatible.
Okay.
Yes, because I want to ask them for help. I want to ask in the Netherlands, listen, is there any sort of grant available that we can work solar panels on roofs to stabilize our consumption right now?
Right, I was basically looking at the fuel.
Yeah.
The fuel.
It is to bring down the fuel part right
Yeah.
now, the fuel cost. I am not looking at buying more fuel. I'm trying
Right,
to
that's
get
what I
away
was
from the fuel.
referring to
Yeah.
when I said Trinidad.
No, I try to get away from the fuel
Yeah.
altogether. But we have to transform GB into a 21st century company when it comes to fuel, electricity production. Not that the people need remove. I don't agree at all with the Prime Minister's statement that he will put 3 new people there. I don't agree with that at all. Moving Troy Washington is not going to stop the load shedding. Listen, this thing has been going on for years. You cannot blame the people sitting there. What you can do is ask for guidance, and tell them, listen, I need a timeline. I need to know what is going to happen from now to October. You want to give relief? You really want to give relief? Go pay the fuel bill. Go pay the $5 million a month. Go and pay it. And then nobody gonna have fuel clause on their bills. If you want to give relief, there's no other way the government can give relief. Or GB take off somebody. No, can't. GB fending for themselves right now. They're trying. They are trying their utmost to keep their head above water. So government, if you really want to help the people of St. Martin, go and pay the fuel bill by Sol. $5 million a month. You want to do it for 3 months, 4 months, 5 months? You want to play Santa Claus? Do that.
You're putting this on government now.
On government, on the sitting government. You want to help? Go pay the fuel clause. Go pay the bill. Telling people, but we go cut fuel clause and we go cut. Listen. All those people, no? In Papimento, we say, "Nanta papekaka." Because they know better. But it sounds well. It sounds oh so great. We go, they'll do this and it's this. Listen, if it is so, if it is theft, if it is fraud, go to the prosecutor's office. Stop ranting and raving on the radio about it. I made a fuel clause bill calculation. And one of the things that I always said is I found a discrepancy of how we charge businesses fuel clause for water, but not the residents. So the businesses pay a lot of money for fuel, for fuel clause.
Right.
Well, we don't pay. We don't pay.
No, we don't.
As residents.
Yeah.
And yes and no, because the businesses, they're going to try not to have any toilets in their place because they don't want nobody using water.
Flush. Every time you flush.
Exactly. Certain small businesses like car washes and so they can't function, they go bankrupt. So they use sole proprietorships on a personal name not to pay the fuel clause on water. So there are things. But think on this. We need to create a sustainable food production. And we can do this through financially stable, creating a financially stable agriculture ministry. Now, why do I say financially stable? If you just put it there, you don't give them no budget on a budget item line in the budget of Samaritan, they ain't gonna do nothing. They need 10, 15 million to start the agriculture business. We have farmers that are bending over backwards trying to make ends meet, and it just don't work. It ain't working.
Right. Let me just interrupt for a minute here. And you are now in the hot seat with them, so you understand it. Because you know why I'm saying this, Monks, is because every election, candidates have a tendency of focusing on the agriculture aspect of St. Martin, talking to the farmers and stuff like that.
No.
And then you don't hear anything
Afterwards
from
it's
them
gone.
again. That's why I said your daughter is in it now. So you basically see
but not only that,
the wider picture.
I went to the classes with Denisio Wyatt. And
I saw a video of him the other day.
Denisio, he's frustrated.
Wow.
Denisio explained us the pros, the cons, the way to do it, the financing. So he gave us 8 classes, and in each class he touched on something very specifically. And the thing is, Grace, we need land, we need money, we need water, we need technology. There are so many things that we need. That's one of the principal reasons I was so pro legalizing cannabis. Cannabis is $1 trillion business. Let us not fool ourselves in Samaritan that they are not smoking it. They are. And I said it the last time already. It must be regulated. What are we going to grow? What are we going to sell? To whom are we going to sell it? And at what price are we going to sell it? That will also then create a financial picture for the country and a financial picture for government. The monies from cannabis, for example, can easily be slid into a ministry where wellness of the people. So you're looking at the health aspect, you're looking at fisheries, you're looking at animal husbandry, you're looking at food sustainability. That's where the money got to go. That's how you got to do this. If you don't do it, that's why I said you need value projects where there is something in return with the money, and not just you spend it, you build a hospital, but there's no return because you're not doctors.
But the leader of the UP party already spoke about the contract with a Canadian group, I believe. Is in the process of signing the contract, or they probably did already.
He signed nothing because he in there. And again,
when you say he in there, what do you mean?
The leader of the UP is not in power. He can't sign nothing on behalf of nobody. He's not a minister. As the minister of the SR, there was a contract.
So the contract was never signed.
No, that contract he was talking about is a contract for the development of the framework and the legalization. I am talking about getting it done. The boys on the block come together, form your consortiums, and do what needs to be done. Licenses are going to them. This thing about outsiders controlling $1 trillion industry is nonsense. That is ours to control. We have given away everything already. Why are we going to give away this too?
Who are the gatekeepers here?
The gatekeepers should be the government.
Okay.
But Parliament should look over it.
Okay.
And the legislation should be very clear on who can do what. Legislation, not an MBA, legislation. And that's why I said legalize it. Because then you can do a lot more in a law that a minister can't just come with a swipe of a pen and change. Certain things you want to anchor down. Gotta be born Dutch, gotta be living here 15 years, those type of things.
Oh, really?
Yes, that's what we gotta do.
Okay.
Because then no fly by night from Canada coming here.
Okay.
That's what we gotta do. We gotta protect it for our own. Otherwise, we have a problem, Grace. Look, think on how we can ensure that our economy is strengthened. Because if you look at it, contractors form a serious basis in the world of work. A lot of people work for contractors. I think we got 4,000 or 5,000 people that work for contractors.
That many?
Yeah, you'd be amazed that all over you have little ones, and then you got some big ones in between. So you got a few thousand people working in that field. We cannot afford monies that were brought here to rebuild this country, leave this country, and not pass through them. If it passes through them, that's one thing. But if it don't pass through them, it's a whole different story. So since we can't get the assistance from the World Bank to help ensure our economy is going to run the way it should run, maybe we should then create a new construction business in St. Martin. And I am thinking on a housing project based on the housing vision of the country, where we're going to build smart, affordable homes. Owning your home, Grace, seriously takes a stress off of you every day.
Go stress you
If
too.
you if you got to pay rent
The
and you
contractor could stress you out too.
no, but the contract is a different story.
Yeah,
I'm
okay.
talking about the concept
Yeah.
of home ownership.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So I am a proponent that the existing homes at the St. Martin Housing Development Foundation should be finalized and sold to the people. Give them a new mandate to go and build. Build 100, build 500, whatever you want to do. Get the land in a public-private partnership with landowners in St. Martin and start to build more homes. We have a list of 3,000 by them that are seeking a home.
On the waiting list.
Exactly.
That's
See,
a
that,
lot.
yeah. So I'm saying, at this point in time, we don't have no time for pet projects. For, oh, we're going to do this and we'll put a few homes here. But no. We got to fix home. The home situation is a big problem. Remember, Grace, on the list of the Sustainable Development Goals in St. Martin that we are part of, we signed, the number 1 is poverty eradication. The number 2 is housing. We don't comply with none.
None of the
And in
above.
2030, we ain't gonna comply with it either in the speed, the snail speed we are going into.
Why is it that poverty is, in my opinion, the number 1 social issue here in St. Martin, and then housing, but they go hand in hand. Because when you don't have money, you can't buy a house neither, you can't build a house either.
Grace, we allow this to happen. We also allow a lot of money to leave the country in different forms and fashion. Yes, Grace, you work for your money. So if you want to send all your money to your parents in
To my
their
daughter,
country
my
or your daughter,
Yeah.
that's allowed. And then you going to live in a shack, we allow that. And that's where we should not allow. That we are not going to allow. You should be able to live in a normal home where you don't have an issue meeting your needs. And sure, if you have extra money, go ahead and send it out. But you cannot be sending out what you need to maintain yourself here. So they live in substandard conditions to help their children or their parents back home or abroad. And that is that's a normal human instinct. And I understand it. But we got to be able to balance it. And that's what we're not doing. Everybody's just letting it be laissez-faire. Just do what you feel like. It's okay. Just don't come knock on our doors, because we ain't helping you. That's not leadership. That's just allowing it to flow because it's flowing. Okay, they ain't bothering you. Look, we need to create how we're going to deal with single parents. That's a big gap of where poverty is. We need to look at lowering the cost of living. We need to look at lifelong education. We need to look at the healthcare reform. We spoke about it, but where is it? Where is that healthcare that had to change? You hear SSV saying one thing, you hear this one saying another thing. You know, as now we said we are going to introduce a subsidy system to alleviate a transition period. Because this can become a permanent. This is not a food stamp program. This is a temporary bridging program over a few years where the country should be able to build itself back up. Now, Grace, if we can help people reach a livable wage instead of a minimum wage, we have struck gold as country. And to do this, Grace, I think, because I have a lot more things, but I look at my time and I want to be careful.
You have to give me extra time.
Yeah,
Because
but
you
let me,
started late.
I know,
Go
but
ahead,
let me
go
at
ahead.
least start with how we go fund it, and then I'll go back to some of the things. Grace, we need to do this by primarily making money instead of losing money. So I'm saying, let's do away with the turnover tax and create an import duty tax.
Okay,
Like Curacao
I was
and
waiting
Aruba.
for that.
Why do I say that? We import about 2 billion. Our economy turns in about 2 billion. So once you get an 8% there, you hope that you get enough to start going. Because turnover tax gives you about 130 million, 150 million. So let's say 30 million per point.
The 5%.
5% is 30 million. But that is not
Yeah.
really 5% because it triples the distributor, the importer, when he sells it to the distributor,
Yeah.
he paid 5%.
Okay.
The
Then you pass
distributor sells now to the retailer, he pays 5%.
5%.
Retailer sells it to you, you pay 5%. Don't fool yourself. It's at the price.
Of course, it's
You know,
included.
suddenly reach 15%.
Yeah, 15%.
So
now-
if I say at the point of entry,
import tax.
in 8%, that's it. There is no passing on, no place to more.
So then
That's
you're going up to 24%.
no.
Not
You
necessarily.
got 15 that you had in turnover tax,
Right.
and we're going to move that or drop that to 1 or 2%, and then you put 8%, and guess what? You have a savings, because if you're paying 8 instead of 15, I just put 7% in your pocket.
Right. So you drop the turnover to 2%, and you
prefer-
do the import tax
again,
at 8%.
At 8. That is my
Okay.
proposal. But I got to be honest, and we're going to have to review the numbers again because the numbers are constantly
Okay.
changing.
So you're not doing away with the turnover.
At this point in time, yes. We are
Okay.
proposing to do away with turnover tax and bring in the import
tax.
duty.
Okay, import duties.
Yes. And we hope they balance out. And if they don't balance out, we're going to see how we can balance it out. That's one. If you want to import stuff on your own, because I cannot take away that desire from people, they want to buy their own stuff on Amazon, you're allowed to, but you're going to pay 9.5%.
So give it to Jeff Bezos.
You're going to pay 9.5% because we are trying to stimulate the local economy. Yes. Because people that are selling it in Backstreet are employing people. They are keeping the money in the country. You're sending it out. If you had gone buy it by them, you're going to be paying 8% on the import. Now you're paying 9.5%. But you want it because you want a different color or the quality control will be part of the importing of goods because you have to ensure that whatever is being imported is of a set standard. These are things that we have to do. Now we're going over to some of the big money making things. If we implement a 0.5% transaction tax, this will yield any place between 55 to 60 million guilders per year. Mind you, you are doing nothing as government. The banks and the central bank do all the work. That's where the money is being transferred.
Filtering through
The
between
transactions
those two,
take
yeah.
place by banks from account to account and all kind of things. So we will make 55 to 60 million guilders a year. That is sent to you every year. So now you got a chunk of 50, 60 million guilders that you didn't have before. That is one. Our corporate tax, this tax holiday, should be gradually moved away. No more tax holiday. You want to give tax breaks? Let's give tax breaks to those that need it for developing. Think on farming, think on recycling, think on affordable housing, think on the bus company that I just spoke about. If you want to give a break, an incentive, give it there. Entrepreneurs, give it there. But for the developing period, not for the rest of their lives. If they need 3 years or 5 years, then that's what we give them. If we can give big hotels, corporations 10 years, why can't we give our own something? Because why can't they also get an opportunity to become wealthy? That's what it now stands for. Nation, opportunity, and wealth. We want to grant you an opportunity to become wealthy. There's nothing wrong with everybody becoming wealthy. Go to Cayman Islands, everybody's wealthy there. What's wrong with it? There's nothing wrong with it. People seem to believe that you cannot make money. The reason you don't make money is because you're not taking chances in a business venture to make money. When you work a 9-to-5 job, Grace, or 8-to-5 job, you have a good salary. You have a comfortable living maybe. But that's it. You're not going to become wealthy because the jobs don't make you wealthy. Businesses make you wealthy. So we have to look at how we do this. How we really look.
Have you considered a consumer protection law?
It must be there. It should have been there a long time. We don't have it.
Why
And
is that though?
Grace, why don't we have a gaming board? Exactly. Exactly. It has to do with what's being protected. Casinos pay $50,000 a month.
Now what? But who you protecting to?
I ain't going there.
Okay, go. Well, so we're gonna say let's stick to the what
Let's
then.
let's stick to what we're doing.
The what is for being protected?
For me,
Right.
the game of chance. We have so many gambling addicts in this country that are destroying their social lives. The social morals are through the window. What they will not do for a $10 or $20 so they could go back on the slots.
Bingo card.
It's just like a crackhead. Make no
Could
mistake.
be worse, too.
What it is worse.
It is worse.
It is worse because the other fella he starts to walk around on the street, or the girl starts to walk around on the street, and people they make him an outcast. But those that go in the bathroom stalls and do things to give a quick fix to get out, so they can go back and gamble and play bingo, that is seen as normal, and it is not normal, Chris. And this is my problem. I don't have nothing against casinos. Put them in the hotels so the tourists can go and gamble. That's what it was for. It wasn't for our own people to go and gamble. In the olden days, there were no standalone casinos. This is not Las Vegas.
Yeah, I'm wondering if there are any in Aruba, because I know in the Renaissance.
They had
Mall,
one, Alibaba, I think it
there's
was Alibaba once. They had one on the LK
No,
Lloyd Boulevard.
that's not there anymore.
No, I know it's gone.
Yeah, but
again,
most of them are in the hotels.
it must be in the hotels.
malls, yeah.
In the hotels, and have very strict controls with swipes with your ID. You don't have your ID, you can come in. Yeah, forget it, I don't care. Swipe. So if you go in more than 3 times a month or 2 times a month, whatever ruling we set, you are fined and banned from the casino for 6 months. Casino should be something. Hey, I'm gonna have some fun. I go in casino tonight. I'm gonna play with $50. It can't be so that every payday you in there until you pay done, and then you reach home, cuss off the wife or cuss off the husband, beat off the children because they asked you for something.
Yeah.
The social impact casinos have in this country is not as simple as we want to think it.
How many casinos do we actually
I
have?
think it's 13 there by now. Yeah, we got a lot of casinos in this thing. Grace, I am saying, the rule of any hotel with 200 rooms or more can get a casino should be the norm. Let's go back to that. See how many hotels we have on this island with 200 rooms, put the casinos there. Done. And they can jump us. Look, last time they told me, Bonks, you gotta be careful, you know. Next time we find you floating in the lagoon.
We're a mini Las Vegas.
Yeah. And I'm telling them, listen, speaking out of what needs to be done in this country, if that, I have to fear that, then I shouldn't be living in this country, because this is not a democracy. Then it's a totally different type of country. Grace, we need to do things. Luxury tax. If you can buy a car for $45,000 or more, you can pay more. You can pay tax on
Like
that
in
car.
the Netherlands?
Yes.
Yeah, the smaller car,
Yes.
the tax you pay, but
Yes.
everybody's paying the same road tax across the board. Big, small, medium, everybody.
And it needs to change.
I like that.
It needs to change. Vehicle disposal tax. Look at the car wrecks we have on this island. Why? Because everybody just importing cars, and the government is not doing nothing. Government has said for every car that's imported, come January 1st, 2025, there's a $250 fee. That money goes to a government entity or the road fund or whatever we want to call it, and you're responsible for picking up all wrecks on this island moving forward. I will give you an injection because let's say 500 cars come in a year, 1,000 cars come in a year, we got 2,000-3,000 wrecks on the road.
What do you think about persons who actually station the parked cars on the side of the road and put a for sale sign
It's
on
not
it?
allowed. The police got to do the job.
Okay, just wondering. Yeah,
Police has their job to do. They should do that too.
okay,
Look,
good.
there are things like maritime registration that we would want to do, but we'd have to do it in the Netherlands because we are not ready. But Grace, I have a problem, for example, with our civil aviation. We never have money to upgrade it so that the airport can become a Category 1 airport. So I am going to make this proposal publicly here, and who don't like it, I really don't care. Right now we pay $65 on taxes as Princess Juliana Airport. $10 should be added on. That money should be allocated per immediate to the upgrading of the civil aviation of St. Martin. Hire more people.
What grade are we at right now?
0, we nothing. We have nothing to say.
Aye.
We have nothing. We haven't needs.
Oh,
We
wow.
have downgraded right down to the bottom.
But
We have about
now-
1.5 million people passing through St. Martin. So $10, that's $15 million for us to upgrade the civil aviation of St. Martin so we can go back to a Category 1 where we should be.
So how do we do
Sabre is a
that?
Category 1. Station's a Category 1.
Curaçao.
No, Curacao is
Curaçao,
not.
no?
Bonaire is a Category 1 all through Holland. Aruba is a Category 1.
Right, Aruba.
St.
Yeah.
Martin and Curacao are not.
So
Curacao
how-
is further than us because they have done much more. They are much more in compliance with certain things than we are. We have not
How
done
do we
anything.
get there, though? Or
It's
so
a long
that's how we
story.
get to this?
It's a long story.
Okay, so
in the
we'll
Netherlands and
understand
Tillies, we were category 1, and you can remember the earthquake in Haiti.
Haiti, right.
All the fellas that were at the top passed away.
Oh, yes.
And consequently,
Yes, yes,
we did
yes.
not do anything, and
Impact
we
response.
dumped into category 2, and we have not moved. And we need to move because it has a very serious effect on even the local carrier, Winair,
And that
JetBud,
responsibility
because
lies on
we
who?
cannot leave from here and fly into a US port because we are not category 1. So again, we need to find a way to do this. But when you look at the airport, when you look at GB, when you look at the port, TLM, BTP and all of these are companies that make money. The airport, I did a little calculation on the airport. They pay about $65, like I told you. $42 is departure tax. Now, I want to find out what the airport operations would cost with their loans. Because I got 2 loans of about 100 million, 50 million from the trust fund, 50 million from the European Investment Bank. But if I take the $65 million and I multiply that by 1.8, I get approximately, and 115 million guilders. If your operations cost 70, 80 million, including payments of your loan, where's that 35 million going? What are you doing with it? Why isn't government getting some of that money back? These are things that we have to really look at and see how we're going to deal with it. When you look at the harbor, when you look at BTP, look, every million counts. But I think we easily can get 30 million back from these companies. GB right now, they're on their back. So you gotta be careful with how you take the concession, but their concession is labeled as 5%. 5 million. And I'm saying, okay, when we start doing solar power and you are saving 20, 30 million dollars on fuel, somebody gotta come home. Somebody gotta start coming home. Back to government. So government can easily pop to 150 million guilders by just making structural and concise decisions on how we're going to make the money. Okay. Grace, if we do this, we don't need to be raising taxes on the people. We can even structurally drop the wage tax. Come January 1st, when I'm in Parliament, the one thing, a do or die for me, is that seniors will pay no more tax. Nor on wage. Yes, because the tax system is only of a year basis.
Oh, okay.
So it starts by the year. Same went with the health insurance. Health insurance wasn't finished. So they said come January 1st it should happen. Let's see, because I haven't heard enough about what's happening there. But that's how we are trying to look. If we want to make a difference, Grace, we got to vote for the Bancamp effect. I have been honest with what I say. I have shown how I do it. The legacy I want to leave behind in nation building is a simple legacy. I did something to make this country move forward and not stay stagnant and move backwards. And what we have done over the past 14 years is nothing to be proud of. That's not a legacy we want to leave for our grandchildren and our great-grandchildren. That's not the legacy I believe in at all.
Can the seniors depend on you?
Yes, I'm becoming a senior. I'm going to be a senior in 4 years. So I'm going to make sure that it's going to be done.
Taxes,
I also have added value in it. You see, those that are 30, 25 years, they don't care. They got 30 years to go, 25 years to go. They don't see no rush. That's why the former Minister of Finance saw no rush in it. Because he wasn't around the corner. Maybe they'll say, oh, because he's becoming a pensioner in 4 years, 5 years, he's seen a rush. Yes, yes. I see no reason that people should suffer because you don't see a rush. I do see the rush. People at 75 years now, they don't do nothing anymore. They're mostly wheelchair bound, they just walk around with a stick. At 65, they can still maneuver. Give them those golden years. Give them their money in their pocket. Let them enjoy life with their grandchildren. What is so wrong with that? I cannot fathom it. I have looked at it, I've closed my eyes, closed my ears, not to hear no noise. But I don't understand it. That seniors cannot be given a break. And everybody that's coming, all kind of things. But all of them were sitting there for 4 years. They did absolutely nothing. That's why with the NA, a fellow told me, tell them never again. Ouch. Never again. And the other one, give me one more chance. No, you had your chance, you blew it. It's over. It's time for a new vision, a new direction, the now direction. That's what the people need. We need to do, listen, we need to reflect on the development of our country, our people, our societies, their hopes and their vision. We really need to reflect back on that and say, what did we do wrong? Because wrong we did. How can we fix this? And we have to ensure that the governing we are going to do is going to be a governing with all. Not with some, not for some, but for all. Grace?
You need all hands on deck.
In this crisis time, yes. It's not a time to learn. It's a time to govern. Grace, you know the way you treat your animal? It's the way you treat your country.
Lord, but those are my kids.
Yeah, and you take good care of them.
Very
Others, you see stray dogs, stray cats. It's
That hurts
sad.
my heart when I
It's
see
sad.
that.
But it is a reflection of our society.
Yeah.
And we need to start putting in, and that's that law that I have, that animal welfare law that I prepared. And yeah, it has to go through the walks
Right.
of and through the channels, but it is a law where you will be punished
Right.
if you don't take care of the animals
And if
the
you
right
spell,
way.
if you spell dog backwards,
Yeah.
you see what you get,
Yes,
right?
sir. Yes, sir.
That's what you get.
Grace, you know, I know my time
Yeah,
is
we got
nearing.
2 minutes.
I got 2
Yeah.
minutes, Grace.
Right.
And, you know, I believe that my professional experience that I have of delivering
Come on,
projects,
Bunks, you gotta sell it, man.
my
You gotta sell
technical
it.
capacity and my out-of-the-box thinking, understanding the business challenges of strategic negotiations is just but a few of the strengths I bring to the table when I want to put Samatin in the driver's seat of the Caribbean once again. I don't wish this. I'm going to make this happen. You need to be of a special character, a special way of thinking. Don't back down because they tell you otherwise this gonna happen. Well, then let it happen if you think I gonna back down. There comes a time in your life that you say enough is enough. Samantha has to say that now. Grace, I born here. I have one passport. My navel string is done by St. Rose Hospital. I will die here. I will be buried here. I have given this country a lot already. I gave them over 25 years of my life in civil servantry at GB. I've given them over 25 years of my life in the civic organization of the Lions Club. I have a proven track record. I don't have to prove who I am. People know who I am. You can approach me. I don't change my phone number after every election or after every stunt I pulled. 520-1188. That number has been there from the day they came with the 520. And before that was 90188. I don't change, Grace. What you see is what you get. I don't sugarcoat my words. I call it the way I see it. Some people appreciate that. Some people don't. But you know what, Grace? I'm not going to be elected to please you. I'm going to be elected to serve you. Because that's the honorable part of being a parliamentarian. You get the opportunity to serve your country. And what we have to learn is to serve well, not just serve. You can serve any place, but you cannot serve your country other than in parliament or if you're appointed a minister. I am not seeking a ministerial position. I am not interested in it right now. I know I would make a great minister of Romy, but with the rules and regulations that we apply with unwritten constitutional norms, they're going to tell me, well, you have a conviction, so you cannot comply. So I'm not even going to fool people. I'm going to try it because I hope that Christopher and Rayon and all them try it again and challenge the governor this time in court and force it to Holland. So that once and for all we know what our laws truly signify. It's either we have a law or we don't, and you can make up the rules of engagement as you go along. And I don't believe that's democracy. I believe that's a dictatorial way of thinking and a way of working. And unfortunately, we had 4 years of governing in fear, and we had 3 months of governing very emotional. And I think those things don't go well for a country like Samaritan. We have a northern half. We saw, the criticism that came. There was no cohesion actually with we gonna stay open or we gonna close. I agree with the closing. I agreed with it and I said so. But sometimes, you know, you gotta make sure that both sides, because people start driving going front side, they also are endangering themselves, passing in areas where it might be flooded just to get some bread, just to get this, just to get that. Gas stations were overloaded yesterday with people trying to buy anything that was in the shelf that they could eat because they did not prepare. I asked everybody, we know to the woods yet in the hurricane season, watch
We're
the
just
weather.
about getting ready for it.
The
boy.
19th,
September.
the 19th of August, people, come out and vote. I can and will bring change to your life come August 19th when you put your confidence in Bancamper. Claudius Anthony Bancamper, number 2 candidate on the Now Party, the number 6 slate, the yellow slate, the shining slate. When you open it, you will see that sunshine. It tells you we have a new day. A new era is born. Bancamper is coming back to Parliament. I want to thank you all very much. Grace, let me look at the camera. This has been a wonderful ride. I want to thank you for allowing my broadcast, my podcast to be the Grace Show. I had a great time with you. This time, there were no outages, there were no strange things. So thank God.
Kale actually had no current this morning.
So thank God to that. Oh man, Kale really and that this boy. To the people, come Monday. Go out and do what's right. I deserve a chance, and I ask you for your vote. Give me a chance to do what I do best, govern and run a country. Thank you all very much.
All right.
Bunks is up.
To the viewers and to you too, Bunks, thank you so very much. To the radio listeners, of course, as always, thank you for tuning in here to